Why do some men effortlessly attract women while others struggle for years, never figuring out what they're doing wrong? Stay with me because I'm about to reveal the one principle that works 99% of the time. But first, I need to destroy 3 myths that are probably sabotaging your success right now. Here's what's really happening when you see that guy who just gets it. Women light up around him, conversations flow naturally, and somehow he creates the kind of connection you've been desperately trying to figure out. You think he's using some secret technique or following a pickup artist playbook. You're completely wrong. The truth is far simpler and infinitely more powerful. But before I reveal what he's actually doing, you need to understand why everything you've been taught about attracting women is backwards. Because if you don't get this first part, the strategy I'm about to share will backfire spectacularly. Myth number 1, you need to impress her with your accomplishments. Here's the problem with this approach. When you lead with your achievements, your job, your car, your apartment, what are you actually communicating? That your value comes from external things. And women instantly recognize this as insecurity disguised as confidence. But there's an even bigger issue with the impression strategy that most men never realize. You're creating a relationship based on performance, which means you'll have to keep performing forever. And the moment you can't maintain that performance level, everything falls apart. The men who consistently attract women understand something crucial about female psychology. But I can't explain that until you understand the second myth that's destroying your chances. Myth number 2, being nice and agreeable will make her like you. This is where most good guys go wrong. They think creating emotional safety means never disagreeing, never having opinions, never creating any tension whatsoever. They become yes men, thinking that avoiding conflict equals creating comfort. This is exactly backwards. Here's what actually happens when you agree with everything she says. You become invisible, you blend into the background of every other guy who's trying to win her approval. You communicate that you don't have a strong sense of self. But here's the part that will shock you. The opposite extreme is just as destructive. Being disagreeable or challenging just to create tension makes you exhausting to be around. So, if being too nice doesn't work and being too challenging doesn't work, what does? That brings us to the third myth, and this one is the most dangerous because it sounds so logical. Myth number 3, you need to figure out what she wants and become that. This seems reasonable, right? Find out what type of guy she's attracted to and mold yourself into that person. The problem is, this approach is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of how attraction actually works. Attraction isn't a checklist. It's not a math equation where you add up the right qualities and get the desired result. Attraction is emotional, unconscious, and often completely irrational. When you try to become what you think she wants, you're playing a game you can never win. Because you're not dealing with her conscious preferences. You're dealing with deep psychological patterns that she might not even be aware of. Now that you understand what doesn't work, here's what actually does. The men who effortlessly attract women have discovered something that changes everything. They understand that getting what you want from women isn't about taking or convincing or performing. It's about creating an environment where women naturally want to give. But this principle only works if you understand the psychology behind it. And that psychology is based on one simple truth about human nature. We resist when we feel pressured. We contribute when we feel valued. Think about your own experience. When someone tries to force you to do something, what happens? Your guard goes up. You become suspicious of their motives. You want to resist just on principle. But when someone creates a space where you feel understood and genuinely seen, something completely different occurs. You want to be part of what they're creating. You want to contribute to the connection. This is the fundamental shift that separates men who struggle from men who succeed. Instead of asking, how can I get her to like me? The question becomes, how can I create genuine connection where we both feel valued? But here's where it gets interesting. Creating this environment requires 3 specific elements, and if you're missing any one of them, the whole thing falls apart. Element number 1, emotional safety through authenticity. This doesn't mean sharing your deepest secrets on the first date. It means being genuinely interested in who she is, not just what she can do for you. It means having enough confidence in yourself that you don't need her validation to feel okay about who you are. Most men think emotional safety means being harmless. Actually, it means being trustworthy. There's a huge difference. But emotional safety alone isn't enough. You also need the second element. Element number 2, consistent interest and attention. Nothing creates attraction like reliability. When you're present, be fully present. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you express interest, mean it. Women have dealt with enough men who are charming one day and distant the next. Consistency stands out because it's rare, but here's what most men don't realize about consistency. It's not just about your behavior toward her, it's about having consistent standards for yourself, which leads to the third element, and this is the one that makes everything else possible. Element number 3, having your own life and priorities. This might seem counterintuitive, but desperation repels while purpose attracts. When you have genuine interests, goals, and relationships outside of your romantic life, you become infinitely more interesting. Women want to add to a life that's already rich, not become the sole source of meaning in an empty existence. But here's the part that ties everything together. These 3 elements don't work in isolation. They work together to create something much more powerful. When you combine authenticity, consistency, and purpose, you create what I call the attraction environment. And in this environment, something remarkable happens. Women relax. Their natural warmth and openness emerge. They become more generous with their attention, their affection, and yes, their interest in you. But there's a specific way to implement this that most men get wrong, and if you mess up this implementation, all 3 elements become worthless. Here's how it actually works in practice. You meet someone you're interested in. Instead of immediately trying to impress her or figure out what she wants to hear, you focus on creating genuine connection. You ask questions that go beyond surface level, but you're not interviewing her. You share things about yourself that are real, not just your highlight reel. You pay attention to how she responds and adjust accordingly. If she seems engaged and interested, you continue building that connection. If she seems uncomfortable or uninterested, you respect that boundary without taking it personally. But here's the crucial part that makes this work 99% of the time. You understand that compatibility isn't something you can force or create through effort alone. Your job isn't to convince anyone to be interested in you. Your job is to be genuinely interesting and to create environments where mutual interest can flourish if it's supposed to. This approach works because it's based on respect rather than manipulation. It works because it creates win-win situations instead of zero-sum games. It works because it allows both people to show up authentically instead of playing roles. When you stop trying to get something from women and start focusing on creating something with them, everything shifts. Conversations become more natural, connections feel more genuine, and yes, you'll find that women are much more generous with their time, attention, and affection. The men who understand this don't struggle with dating because they're not really dating in the traditional sense. They're building relationships based on mutual respect and genuine interest. This is what works 99% of the time, not because it's a technique or strategy, but because it's based on fundamental human psychology. The irony is that when you stop trying so hard to get what you want, you often end up getting exactly what you were looking for all along.